Hey, Nancy Christensen here. So before I start this blog, I want you to know I'm not a theologian or a pastor. I'm not an expert in biblical hermeneutics. Nope, that's not me. I'm not a professional in any of those areas. I'm just a Jesus girl who's been down on the count at some points in my life, and I mean really down. Yet I've experienced the hand of my Heavenly Father reaching down to guide me to wholeness and joy. So with that in mind, today we're going to be looking at one of the big questions people tend to ask about how God interacts with humanity. But we're approaching it from a super simple place, a place of believing in unconditional love from the heart of a good Father. Okay, so here we go. One of the questions I hear most often from people during crisis is this: how can a loving God just stand by and let such bad things happen in the world today? Hey, it's a very valid question, and on the surface, it seems like there's only two reasonable responses. A, either God isn't loving, or B, he doesn't have the power to stop bad things from happening. However, I will suggest today that the Bible actually offers another possibility that's both logical and radical. So to begin, I'd like to share an excerpt from the children's book by C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This section is when Aslan has come back to life after being killed by the White Witch. And he's having a conversation with Lucy, who's super confused about how he can be alive again after seeing his death with her own eyes. It means, Aslan said, that though the witch knew the deep magic, there is a magic deeper still, which she did not know. Her knowledge goes only back to the dawn of time. But if she could have looked back a little further into the stillness and the darkness before time dawned, she would have read there a different incantation. She would have known that when a willing victim who had committed no treachery was killed in a traitor's stead, the table would crack and death itself would start working backward. So why am I sharing part of a children's story, and how does it relate to our original question about why God lets bad things happen? And how could all this possibly relate to our lives and the sometimes tough spots we find ourselves in? Well, stick with me a bit longer and we'll pull it all together. I want to tell you another little story about something happened to me many years ago. When my son was 2 months old, I took him to the doctor to get his first set of shots. The doctor had me lay him down on the table and asked me to hold his arms down so he wouldn't wiggle so much. So he's laying on the table and my face was directly above his, so all he could see was me. And the doctor gave him his shot, and of course he started frantically screaming and crying. Well, he was hurt, right? However, it was what happened next that I was not prepared for. What I saw in those little eyes looking up at me was this: "Mom, stop him! He's hurting me! How can you just stand there and let him hurt me like this? Mom, stop him!" Well, you guys, my own heart was crushed as I watched him screaming in pain. And yeah, it was a pain I could have stopped. In some way, I kind of felt like I had betrayed my son. And in that instant, I got a shot myself. I got what I call a God shot. Instantly, I had a thought in my mind that was so powerful, I still feel the emotion of it today. And the thought was this: Nancy, do you get it now? Do you see that there are things that happen in your life that you just cannot understand? You aren't capable to comprehend that these painful things are actually making you stronger and more equipped to deal with the toxic elements that will come your way, exactly like the shot your son just got. My heart breaks when I have to stand by and allow pain to develop in you the heart of a conqueror. You guys, in the same way that that shot strengthened my little son's ability to fight off disease, Every challenge that comes my way and your way is a shot, and there's purpose behind it, and it's for good in our lives. And there's a deeper magic that's beneath the pain that brings about a love and a goodness that not everyone chooses to look for or to see. So let's look again at our question. Why does God stand by and let bad things happen in your life? Well, one thought is that you're getting a shot. And even though you cannot even begin to imagine how anything good could possibly come from it, it is allowed to happen because of the heart of your loving Father, who can see more than you do right now, and whose heart is breaking with yours. It really is. I'll leave you with this verse. The Message translation of the Bible in Romans 8 says, God's Spirit is right alongside, helping us along. He knows us far better than we know ourselves. That's why we can be so sure that every detail in our lives for love for God is worked into something good. So yes, we can see that God is most definitely a profoundly loving God. And because we know He's conquered even death, He unequivocally has the power to stop a tragedy. However, we also can see His radical love that penetrates deeply into our hearts to embrace difficult and painful situations as a path to wholeness and strength that can only come from His good heart. In other words, He takes us to the doctor for a shot. God bless you, my friends.